Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to this review slash recap of Iyanla Fix My Life. I know you guys haven't seen this background in a long time, and for those of you who only watch my reviews, you've never seen this background. So I said to myself, why not just put on makeup and talk about the show? Also, I received some requests in my last video to know what sort of natural makeup look I was doing, and since I had done that look in the last couple videos, I figured you guys might be curious as to what that makeup look is as well. So I'm gonna do it here for you. It's fairly simple compared to other makeup tutorials that I have done in the past, and still might be too much for some of you, but you know, this is where I am in my makeup journey. I'm gonna be adding a little skincare in on this as well. My face is washed, but it's not moisturized. So I'm gonna start with my toners, my moisturization, then I'm gonna go in with my makeup. This episode was about a young girl named Kamiyah. She was a young black girl who was stolen at birth. Now, I'm not sure if this is the same story that Keke Palmer did. Remember that movie where the little girl was stolen at birth by a fake nurse and raised by that fake nurse until they were such and such age and then finally got reunited with their real family? I can't even imagine this situation, you guys. This situation is impossible. One of my major #1 criticisms with Iyanla's show is that it does not do enough initially and baiting that I don't think in the long run it's all that helpful. Like, it's very theatrical. Like, I feel like if I were put in this situation, Iyanla would not help me because I wouldn't be open to it, especially with the camera crew. This little child, she's 19 years old. She had that happen to her. Her mother, the woman who raised her, for all intents and purposes is her mother, is now in prison for kidnapping her. And her biological family is upset with her because they don't understand why she still cares and loves her mother. It's crazy to me that her biological family does not understand why Kamiyah feels the way she does. So it looks like her biological mother wrote into Iyanla's Fix My Life, wrote into the show, wanted to be on the show, and then when it came down to it, she backed out. And she left Kamiyah alone to be on this show. I guess she figured if she backed out, the rest of the family would back out. And I thought that was a real B move. Like, no, you don't get to back out. You got them all doing this thing, and at the last minute, you got mad at the girl because she's still in contact with Gloria, the person who raised her, and you're mad at her about it. And Iyanla brings up a really good point that probably the reason why the biological mother is so upset is because the biological mother was only 16 when her baby got stolen from the hospital. So she's harboring a lot of resentment, and she's probably stunted somewhere in her life at age 16. So she cannot understand her daughter's point of view. I guess I feel like I might be a little bit further along in my like mental health, what makes people TikTok journey than most people, because I think it's ludicrous for her biological mother to not understand where her daughter is coming from. You are a stranger to her. Regardless of the circumstances, it's not like Kamiyah was abducted and then abused horribly and like grew up in a cage. Her mother, Gloria, took care of her, loved her, showed her everything in life. And who's to say she would have even had that relationship with her biological mother, on top of the fact that now that she's even met her biological mother isn't even understanding of her situation. She can't communicate with her. She abandons her on this show. So the girl gets on the show with Iyanla, and Iyanla asks her what her name is, and she says Kamiyah. And Iyanla asks her again, like, what do you want to be called? And she says Kamiyah, but we don't believe it. She's really soft-spoken. She seems like she doesn't want to be there. And Iyanla starts talking to her about, you know, her biological mother and, let's just use the word adoptive, and her adoptive mother, right? And she's just like, you know, I've never really talked about it. Like, we never really sat down and talked about it. Like, I know she did it, and when she told me she did it, she broke down crying, and she said that she was in a different mindset when she did it, and she knows that it was wrong. So this child is having a very hard time reconciling the person who raised her, the loving, adoring mother who raised her, reconciling her with the crazy person who stole her from the hospital. And I think that's very, very valid. Like, I don't know if I found that my mother, a woman who had raised me and loved me and gave me everything I desired and treated me well and whatnot, if I found out that she stole me from a hospital, I would know that woman was crazy. Like, she's out of her mind. Like, you know what I'm saying? And to come to grips with that, it's like finding out something about a family member that you're just like, this is not the person I know. Like, how did this, like, who is this person that could have done this? Like, that is insane. And having to reconcile that about your own mother must be very, very difficult. And the only way to get through it is to just ignore it. And that's what Kamiyah has done. She's ignored it. She's still supported her mother. She still talks to her, and her biological family just isn't supportive in her doing that. They don't understand. And I don't understand why they, as grown people, don't understand. For a year now, her life has blown up. Her mother has been in jail, and she's had to get to know, these strangers who love her and who've built up this fantasy about who she is or who she was destined to be since they lost her at 8 hours old. So there's a lot of trauma going on, and I don't think that an hour show of Iyanla Fix My Life was the right setting for this. This whole entire situation blew up, and I was not surprised that it blew up. I was just absolutely not surprised. It just felt like there was no other option but for this to blow up, because the girl didn't even want to admit that her mother stole her, And I'm not saying that she needed to, in that moment, 100% commit and call her mother out her name and be, mean to her mother. Like, that's still her mother. That's her mommy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, I get it. But the fact is that she wasn't even able to say, my mother stole me. She wasn't able to say it yet. So that means to me that she was not ready to be on this show. So Iyanla's trying different tactics to get her to open up. She's playing along for the most part, but you can tell she thinks this is all dumb. Iyanla has her like laying on the bed with a blanket wrapped around her, trying to coax her and talk to her, talking about this is how you are in the womb, and all this metaphorical nonsense that this girl is just not into, child. She is just 100% not into this whole entire situation. And Iyanla can tell, we can all tell, and it's kind of painful, and I feel like very weird. I'm feeling like, as a watcher, like, this seems like mumbo jumbo to me, and I know it must have seemed like mumbo jumbo to Kamiyah. So Kamiyah's going with it and trying to be, do her best at being on this show. And then Iyanla walks away, gives her a journal, tells her to write how she's feeling or whatnot. Iyanla goes away and speaks to her father. So her father has come to the show, his wife, and Kamiyah's boyfriend, Kamiyah's boyfriend doesn't say not a dang word, so I'm not sure why he was there at all. She's talking to them, and she's explaining to them where Kamiyah is, and the father is really not understanding. How does no adult in her life understand where she's coming from? How is that possible? Like, what world are you guys living in? That is not a way to live that kind of trauma. Especially when your mother, the woman who loves you and raised you, betrayed you. She stole you from your initial family. My question is, I wonder what family is better. I wonder if her adoptive mother was a better situation for her educationally, financially. What if she had a better life with her adoptive mother than she would have had with her biological mother? That would have been a kicker. I would have really liked to see both families and see both households. And then you really can't fault her for having feelings about not wanting to let go of her biological mother. That's her mother. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what I did real quick. First of all, I put on toner, American toner, and then I put on some grapeseed toner, which is a Korean skincare type toner to add moisturization. Then I went in with my mango seed silk moisturizing facial butter from the Face Shop and put that on. Then I went through with my primer. So I put on 2 primers. On my face, I put Angel Veil by NYX, and then on my forehead, which is like the greasiest part of my face, like when I'm wearing makeup, my forehead becomes greasy after like 3 hours. But when I use this, which is a little sample of the Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Primer by Too Faced, my very first Too Faced product, this is a sample from Sephora, my forehead does not get shiny, girl. It'll last for hours, and I don't have to touch up at all. And then I used the Jackie Aina trick of taking my Laura Mercier translucent powder in medium deep and spread that all over my face with a very like thin puff so that I could pack it in. And now that I've got all that on, I'm going to go in with my damp beauty blender. So what I'm going to go in with is Black Radiance BB cream. So anyways, the episode ends concludes with the young lady Kamiyah blowing up at Iyanla because Iyanla leads her to believe that not only is she spending the night at this beautiful mansion that they've got this show filming in, but that her family has left, and when she tries to call them, they will not respond. Iyanla tries to backpedal and say, when the girl's like, oh, you said that they left and they weren't here and I had to spend the night and they weren't going to answer the phone. Iyanla's like, I didn't say that. I said they had an assignment and their assignment was to not answer your phone call. And I'm just like, I call BS. Iyanla knew what she was doing. Like, she wanted to get a rise out of the girl, absolutely, to get her to have some kind of emotion to talk and be open about the situation as opposed to just shutting down. But Iyanla can't pretend like she didn't leave that girl to believe that her family had left her there. And she felt some kind of way. And I was just like, what place in America, United States, do you think that Iyanla's going to actually kidnap you, girl? Like, calm down. It was so extra. And I think it was because there's a lot of emotion bubbling up underneath that girl's life that something so little like that could set her off, because I don't know what she thought. Did she think Iyanla Fix My Life was going to kidnap her? They wasn't, girl. So there was really no reason for her to get as upset as she got. And overreacted for a long period of time. She never even came back and was like, at the end of the show or at the end of the episode, like, Iyanla, thank you for what you did, but you pissed me off and I gotta go. Nothing like that. She called Iyanla a man. She called her out her name so that she would slap her and fight her. And I'm like, who raised her? She is so angry that she has lost all of her decorum, all of her manners. Like, just... it was so despicable. And then her father is like making excuses. Like, when her family showed up and like came back or whatever, the fact that she still didn't calm down and go, oh, okay, you guys were actually here the whole time, oh, my bad, is like really indicative. The dad was just trying to shield her from Iyanla. Iyanla was like, okay, I'm done, like, you know, you don't want help. And the girl is still going off. They ended up leaving the mansion like in a huff, angry. And I'm just like, angry because even if it was for an hour, she couldn't control herself for an hour. That's how bad her trauma is. They need long-term therapy. 2 days or 3 days in the healing house is not going to do that for anyone. And I hate that the show sets it up to seem that these people just go talk to Iyanla for 3 days and then they come out healed and ready to go. No, it requires more help and more understanding. Because once people leave this controlled environment, all these bad habits pop back up again. You know how many conversations I've had with people about like feelings and what's going on in my life and whatever, we have a kumbaya moment and then a week later they're back to their old habits acting foolish. Like, no, people need ongoing therapy because it's really hard to break old habits and patterns because that's what you're comfortable with. You're not going to do the work, as Iyanla puts it, when there's nobody there to make you do it, when there's no one there to constantly check you and call you out on your BS. Except for me, because like, girl, I don't have time to feel this way. So like, whenever they tell me to do something, I'm like, let's do it. So right now I'm just filling in my brows. The first product I used was a Milani brow pencil. This is the color dark brown. It's Easy Brow. You can get it at the drugstore. This one is a MAC brush shade brow shader. I don't know what color this is. Oh, charcoal, soft charcoal. I've had this for so long, I should be ashamed of myself. I'm going in with the concealer by LA Go Pro Concealer. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of shape because it's real fuzzy over here, girl. It needs to be waxed. So, and the next part of it, Iyanla's like, well, this was supposed to be the second day in the healing house, but, you know, my guests chose to leave and they refused to contact us. So we're going to meet with another woman who was also stolen at birth. I'm just like, damn, like, women really be out there stealing people's children. This is crazy. And she was talking to Iyanla about Kamiyah and how it sounds like from her perspective that Kamiyah was still in a place of denial. It feels a little irresponsible for them to have Kamiyah on this show and for them to push her as much as they did. Her adoptive mother who committed a crime and stole her from her real family, which is an abhorrent, egregious crime to have committed. Like when she talked to her mother about, she's like, oh, I was in a place. No. You don't steal somebody's baby. There's no kind of justification for that. What can she say? There is absolutely nothing she can say. I'm a Looney Tune, and I went into a hospital, and I stole a baby because I wanted a baby. And that baby was you. I'm just going to powder all around. So how do you live with that? I don't know. Now for eyeshadow, I simply go in with the very first Julia Place palette, and I go with this color right here because it's like a brown, but it has a little bit of shimmer in it. I don't soften any edges. I don't blend anything. I just do a light like blending of it up here. You know, that is really it. Then I go in with a dark brown, which is also in this palette, which is right here, which is what I sometimes use as my contour. And I take a more tapered brush and I just go in to the outside to create some contour and some depth so that it just doesn't look like one solid color. I go in with some really cheap liner, then a little bit of eyeliner on the bottom, and mascara. And I don't have any lashes, so if I wanted this look to pop a little bit more, I would add lashes, but I'm not going to. And then for blush and highlight, I'm going to use my Juvia's palette, the Saharan Blush #1 palette. I'll be using this color right here. I'll be using the color Zara as my highlight, and I will be using the color Neo as my blush. Then I go in with my finger and blend. And voila, that's it for this natural look, guys. So this Iyanla Fix My Life was a definite fail, and it's part of my big criticism with the show. I like the show because I feel like the Black community at large is mostly against therapy and mental health and all that stuff. And I think that this show has a large African American base, and therefore it introduces the idea of mental health and therapy to the community, which I find to be a positive as a whole. But as an individual, I don't think that Iyanla helps people. I think that she puts them in situations, and it makes great TV to yell at them and say all these things to them when some people don't need to be yelled at. I always think if I were to be on the show and she were to yell at me or try to shame me or make me feel a certain way while I'm in therapy trying to heal, I wouldn't respond well to it. And I'm somebody who loves therapy. I wouldn't get healing from Iyanla because her tactics to me are too aggressive and brazen, especially when she's dealing with two different people arguing. You know, sometimes it feels like she sides with one person and makes the other person feel like absolute trash, and then turns around, sides with the other person and makes that person feel like absolute trash, and then it causes this friction, and even in the audience it causes this friction, and I don't like that. But I will continue to watch this show, and perhaps I will do it as a get ready with me every single week because it's the easiest thing to do, especially if I'm filming 2 videos. Then I could get ready with you, talk about Iyanla Fix My Life, and then take the face that I've gotten ready with, turn my cameras around, do my bed up, and then film the review for whatever it is. I can probably kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and girl, we are all about trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, you guys, so that is it for this video. Let me know what you thought of the episode down below. What do you think of therapy? What do you think of mental health? And if you thought that Iyanla handled this situation the best that it could have been handled, okay? All right, you guys, remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.